Okay, on 17 through 20, we're supposed to estimate the percent of data within the specified intervals of each normal distribution, shade the corresponding region under the normal curve, label the tick marks on the horizontal axis, and label the horizontal axis, and use the empirical rule for normal distribution. So there's a lot going on here. We need to estimate the percent of data, right? We need to shade the corresponding region. We need to label the tick marks and label the horizontal axis. Okay, so I'm going to do problem number 18. You can do the rest. So problem number 18 says, determine the percent of people that have an IQ greater than 145, given the mean IQ score is 100 and the standard deviation is 15. Okay, so we actually already saw a normal curve like this back on another problem, but even if we hadn't, we should be able to tell where to label these. Remember the mean, let's start with labeling. The mean is 100, so we put that right in the middle. Okay, the standard deviation is 15, so that means this should be 115. This should be 130. This should be 145 because I'm going up by 15. And then when I want to go down, then on this side I'm going down by standard deviation, so 85, 70, and 55. Okay, and if I'm labeling the horizontal axis, and I know there's not a lot of room under here, but labeling the horizontal axis, these are IQ scores, so I'm going to label this over to the side, IQ scores. Okay, and there's no units, but if there was a unit, I would put those in parentheses. All right, so now I'm going to go back. I'm kind of working this backwards because I think it's easier to label and shade, and then I'll worry about the percentage. So labeling and shading. So now shading the region. I want to shade the region for percent of people that have an IQ greater than 145. So that's right here, 145, and then we're talking greater. That's not very much of an area right there, right? So really, I know that when I'm so we're talking 3 standard deviations out here. So that's really, using the empirical rule, that's really something that I'm caring about the most, is here I'm at 3 standard deviations. So what I need to remember about 3 standard deviations out is I'm over here, when I'm 3 standard deviations out, the stuff that falls in the middle of all of that if you remember correctly, is 99.7%. 99.7% of the data falls between 3 standard deviations. That's almost all of it, right? So then we know what falls outside of that is 100 minus 99.7, right? 0.3%. But we don't want both sides. We only want half of this. So half of 0.3, if I take 0.3 divided by 2, that's 0.15, right? So 0.15% is all, very, very, very small percent of people have IQ scores greater than 145. That's why they say those folks are super smart and can get into Mensa, because very, very rare for somebody to have that. All right, you do 17, 19, and 20.